So my body count is 1,572, and so I don't think body count should matter, to be honest. Like, I don't know, I've heard a lot of numbers and it just doesn't really matter.
My boyfriend has a very big issue with my past. He found my list of people I have been with and he was pissed. He actually broke up with me initially.
Count, I have to say, does not matter because I have over 100 bodies.
Because he asked me how many bodies I had, and I told him 1,000. And he left me. He was like, oh, you have 1,000 bodies as a woman? I was like, yes, what's wrong with that? He got up and left me at the table. I had to pay for my own meal, my own food, and I had to Uber myself home.
Our body count now will remain the same because me and you will be together forever.
Yeah, that's true.
I will never know your true body count and you'll never know mine. So, and I think that's the way it should stay in relationships. Nobody needs to know that information.
This woman is casually admitting to body counts in the hundreds or even over 1,000, and she's framing it as if it's no big deal, something that doesn't matter in a relationship. She's even suggesting that partners should keep their numbers secret forever, like it's some kind of mutual pact of ignorance. But let's break this down objectively, because what she's really doing here is downplaying the very real concerns that men have when it comes to a partner's sexual history, and she's acting surprised when her boyfriends react negatively. First off, these aren't just random numbers. She's talking about 1,572 or 1,000 partners, which is an extreme level of promiscuity that goes way beyond what most people, men or women, would consider normal or healthy. She's portraying the men in her stories as unreasonable for walking away, but in reality, they're making a rational choice based on their own standards and boundaries. Men aren't obligated to accept any level of past behavior just because a woman says it doesn't matter. That's her opinion, but relationships are a two-way street, and if a man decides that a high body count is a deal breaker, that's his right, just like it would be hers if the roles were reversed. Think about it from the man's perspective. Discovering a list of over 1,000 names isn't just about jealousy. It's about trust, emotional investment, and long-term compatibility. High body counts like this often signal patterns of impulsivity, difficulty with commitment, or even underlying issues like seeking validation through sex, which can make a man question whether she's truly ready for a monogamous relationship. She's complaining that one guy left her at the table and made her Uber home, but she conveniently ignores why he might feel that way. Maybe he sees it as a red flag for pair bonding. Science shows that repeated casual encounters can affect oxytocin release and emotional attachment over time, making it harder to form deep, lasting bonds. Studies on pair bonding in humans, drawing from animal models, suggest that women with extensive sexual histories may struggle more with long-term satisfaction in relationships, leading to higher divorce rates or infidelity risks. But of course, she won't mention that. Instead, she flips it to make the man seem petty. And her solution, hide the truth. Nobody needs to know that information. That's not equality or objectivity. That's deception. In a healthy relationship, transparency builds trust. But here she's advocating for secrecy to avoid accountability. Imagine if a man said the same thing after admitting to sleeping with 1,000 women. He'd be called a player or worse. Men are often shamed for high body counts too, but the double standard here is that women like her expect men to overlook it without question. This isn't about shaming her past, it's about men protecting their own emotional well-being. If she's had fun with that many people, great for her, but don't act shocked when not every man wants to be number 1,573. Many men are opting out of dating altogether because of attitudes like this. Why invest in someone who treats sex so transactionally? It's not insecurity, it's self-respect.
It's not like I'm walking around with STDs and things. Like, I get checked for that stuff. But, like, I had fun in college. I had fun post-college. And I've had a lot of post-situationship, you know, where I'm trying to, like, get back out there.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad about that.
I feel like every single girl has a list of the guys she's ever been with. Like, how fun. I remember the men that have been inside of me, and I have a husband, and that's okay. This sounds like a really insecure or possessive man. We've all lived. We've all had a good time.
I finally told my boyfriend what my body count was, and now we're not together. I understand some people don't like their partner's body count sometimes, and that it can be a deal breaker. But my boyfriend and I have been together for 6 months, and he finally, for the first time, asked me what my body count was. I told him I'm not going to be super specific, but let's just say it's more than 10, but less than 20. And he got very upset at me. He started saying things like, "You're a woman, you should hold yourself to higher standards." He said women that are promiscuous should be treated as thoughts. And I obviously got offended by that because he was clearly referring to me. Anyways, we made up, but for the past week, he's just been showing so many signs that he doesn't trust me and that he's clearly not over the conversation. Like now he always wants to see my location, which he didn't used to before. I tried to talk to him about it, being like, you can talk to me, like what's going on? And he's just still so resentful about my body count. He says that he can't stop thinking about it, like he can't stop thinking about me with other guys, and says that he can't believe that many guys used me. He was getting pretty heated with the conversation.
Here we have another woman dismissing concerns about body count by chalking it up to insecurity or possessiveness on the man's part, while admitting she had fun in college and beyond, even keeping mental lists of her partners. She's got a husband now and thinks it's all fine, but then she shares a story where a boyfriend broke up with her over a count between 10 and 20, calling him resentful for not getting over it. She's framing her past as harmless, living and having a good time. But she's ignoring how that history can impact a partner's view of intimacy and trust. First, let's address the STD angle. She says she's checked, so no issue, but that's the bare minimum. Body count debates aren't just about physical health. They're about emotional and psychological factors. Men aren't wrong for visualizing past encounters. It's a natural human response, especially when the number suggests a pattern of casual sex that might not align with what they want in a long-term partner. Objectively speaking, her boyfriend's reaction isn't just insecurity, it's a valid boundary. He said women should hold themselves to higher standards, and while his wording was harsh, treated as thoughts is probably thoughts, slang for promiscuous women. It reflects a broader cultural shift where men are tired of being expected to accept any behavior without question. For 6 months, things were fine until the truth came out, and now he's monitoring her location. That sounds like trust erosion, not baseless jealousy. If the roles were flipped and a woman discovered her man had slept with 15 to 20 people, she'd likely have similar doubts about his commitment ability, and no one would call her insecure. They'd say she's protecting herself. But when men do it, it's labeled possessive. This double standard is what's turning men off dating. Why commit to someone who expects unconditional acceptance but offers judgment in return? Moreover, her casual attitude, "I remember the men that have been inside of me and I have a husband and that's okay," highlights a disconnect. For many men, sex is tied to emotional exclusivity, and knowing your partner has shared that with dozens can make it feel less special. Research on pair bonding supports this. Higher numbers correlate with lower marital satisfaction and higher infidelity rates, per studies like those from the Institute for Family Studies. She's offended by his words, but she's not addressing why he feels used. Perhaps because her past suggests she treated sex lightly, which clashes with his values. Men are increasingly walking away from these dynamics, choosing peace over partnerships that require constant mental gymnastics to ignore red flags. It's not about controlling her. It's about finding someone whose values match, and that's fair for both genders.
Women's body count does not matter because it is not a tell of someone's character. I don't even know why this has to be said. Even if the girl didn't have committed relationships and she just had sex with other people, you do know what a dating app is, right? A girl can be promiscuous and then once she has a boyfriend, she's super loyal. A guy also doesn't have to be promiscuous to be able to cheat. The use of something as natural as sex to bring someone down, that is a show of your character, though.
This woman is straight up denying that body count reflects character. claiming promiscuity doesn't preclude loyalty, and that judging it says more about the judger. She's pointing to dating apps as if they normalize casual sex, and saying sex is natural, so no big deal. See, but this is a classic deflection, pretending that past actions have zero bearing on future behavior. Objectively, body count can absolutely indicate character traits like impulse control, value for intimacy, or respect for boundaries. If someone racks up dozens of partners via apps, often in non-committed scenarios, it suggests a comfort with casual encounters that might not switch off overnight in a relationship. She's right that non-promiscuous people can cheat, but that's a straw man. The point is that high body counts statistically increase infidelity risks, as shown in sociological data from sources like the General Social Survey, where past partner count correlates with marital instability. By flipping it to using sex to bring someone down shows your character, she's shaming men for having standards, which is ironic because women often have their own deal breakers, height, income, etc., that no one questions. Imagine a man saying his high body count doesn't matter because sex is natural. He'd be called immature or a risk. Men defend themselves here by saying they're not bringing down anyone. They're just choosing partners wisely. In an era of no-fault divorce and asset division, men have every reason to vet for loyalty indicators, and body count is one data point. Her argument ignores how promiscuity can erode pair bonding. Repeated dopamine hits from new partners make monogamy harder, per neurochemical research. Men aren't insecure for caring. They're pragmatic. This mindset is why many men opt out. Why risk emotional and financial investment in someone who downplays accountability?
Men who ask a woman's body count are shit and bad, and they're afraid that past experiences with men who are bigger or better and bad are going to make them look bad. It's an insecurity thing. I don't worry about it. If a dude asks me my body count, he's too immature for me anyways. I'm out.
I think you have to hook up with more people to know what you like and what you don't like.
Ooh, good answer. Are you able to share your body count?
Yeah.
Over 20.
Yes, it's over 20.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know the exact number, but I feel like it's probably hitting 40, maybe above.
Do you understand why guys would have a problem with a woman with a high body count, though? Do you understand the logic behind it?
I think it's insecurity. That's where it comes from. I think it's insecurity. That's where it comes from.
Explain.
Do they really want to have a woman that is just a virgin? Because she's not gonna be good, and she's gonna have no experience.
They don't need you to be good, though.
That's so boring. Isn't that
It's
boring?
not boring.
That's so boring.
I'll tell you what.
That's
it's not
so
boring.
it just sounds transactional to me.
Now this one is resorting to insults. Men who ask about body count are shit in bed, insecure about size or performance, and immature. She's admitting her count is 40 plus and saying experience makes her better, while virgins are boring and relationships transactional without it. This is pure projection, turning a legitimate question into an attack on men's egos to avoid scrutiny. Objectively, asking about body count isn't about bedroom skills. It's about compatibility, values, and risk assessment. Men aren't afraid of comparison. They're concerned about emotional baggage, STD risks, even if checked, or diluted intimacy from so many partners. Her claim that you have to hook up with more people to know what you like assumes sex is a skill learned through volume, but many men value emotional connection over technique, and studies show couples with fewer past partners report higher satisfaction. For example, National Marriage Project data. By calling virgins boring, she's devaluing purity and low counts, which many men prefer for stronger pair bonding. It's not insecurity, it's preference. If a man wanted an inexperienced partner, that's his choice, just like her high count is hers. But she dismisses the logic as immaturity, which is hypocritical. Women often ask about men's pasts without being called insecure. This attitude headaches men in relationships, constant defensiveness instead of understanding. Men defend by walking away, as her "I'm out" shows mutual selection. In 2026, with men under 30 dating less, it's clear high body counts turn men off, not from fear, but from seeking genuine, low-drama bonds.
man using the guise of science and psychology to justify his patriarchal ways of thinking. Not that he actually cites any science, but I'm gonna tap in evolution real quick. Promiscuity in women is a big plus in the animal kingdom, period. The birthing process, especially for early humans, was super dangerous, but also just primates in general. Primates take a lot of care to actually rear effectively. Not even to mention the physical toll that it takes, which we do not talk about enough. In order to ensure that these primates were getting the highest quality sperm for their bang, they developed female copulatory vocalizations, or just moaning. And it's actually a mating call. It's there to alert other males in the area that she is fertile and ready to get down and dirty. And the reason why there's such a visceral reaction to men when women are moaning in bed is because their monkey brains are reacting to this, and they know that they need to nut quickly or else their ass is gonna get beat by the other males that she's calling. Your ego is fragile because of your societal upbringing, but it's not backed by evolution.
Men's obsession with your body count isn't about sex. It's all economics. But being a hot commodity doesn't make you any less of a commodity. Even if your face card never declines, your body count is your credit score. You end up paying more interest or for interest the longer you have it. And by that I mean men's interest in you. It's both the deflation of our sexual market value and our bodies. And so we inject a special kind of liquidity into our assets, Botox and Juvederm, to restore lost volume. But it's just as much of a capital injection as a cosmetic one. That's the Das Kapital of it all. But according to Marx himself, commodities must all change hands. And in my interpretation, that means all commodities are whores, and all whores are commodities. At the very least, that's what the men in my last video's comment section seem to think about me. That I am a slut, that I am a whore, that I am a 2 or 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. What man would ever want to be with me? Although simultaneously they seem to think I was pretty ran through. If commodities must change hands, then objects are meant to be touched. And if you as a woman are objectified, that means that you as a woman are meant to be touched. If we use men's own market logic against them, that means that by design, women are meant to be exchanged from one hand to the other over and over again until we are like a dollar bill lost in circulation. And that's how they describe us. Passed around, worn out, used up. But the thing is, it is completely contrary to market logic that as women, if we are indeed commodities, that we are meant to be kept women, that we are meant to be off the market. We are not meant to be private property in the sole possession of one man. And
finally, this woman invokes pseudo-evolution to claim female promiscuity is a big plus in the animal kingdom, using moaning as a mating call to attract multiple males for better sperm. She's accusing men of patriarchal thinking without science, while her own take is cherry-picked and flawed. Objectively, human evolution favors pair bonding for child rearing. Unlike some primates, humans invest years in offspring, so monogamy evolved for paternal certainty and resource sharing. Studies in evolutionary psychology, for example, Buss and Schmidt's work, show men prioritize chastity in long-term mates to avoid cuckoldry, while women seek providers. Her moaning theory, it's debated. Research suggests it's more about pleasure signaling or bonding, not calling rivals. In bonobos, promiscuity exists, but humans aren't bonobos. We have jealousy and exclusivity norms for a reason. By calling men's egos fragile from society, not evolution, she's ignoring how evolution wired men for paternity assurance. High body counts signal potential infidelity risks, backed by data linking promiscuity to higher divorce. For example, Wolfinger's research. This isn't patriarchy, it's biology meeting culture. Men defend by setting standards, not accepting revisionist Evo psych. In modern dating, this dismissiveness pushes men away. Why debate when you can opt out for peace? This woman is trying to flip the script on the body count debate by invoking economics, sexual market value, SMV, and even a twisted take on Marx to argue that men's concerns about high body counts are hypocritical. She's saying body count is like a credit score that deflates a woman's SMV, leading to more interest, pun intended, or less male interest over time, and that women inject liquidity via Botox to prop up their assets. Then she twists it. If women are commodities per men's logic, They should be exchanged repeatedly, not kept as private property in monogamy. She's portraying men as objectifying women while simultaneously wanting exclusivity, calling out the contradiction. But let's unpack this objectively, because this is a clever rhetorical move that falls apart under scrutiny. First, the SMV concept isn't some patriarchal invention. It's a straightforward observation of how attraction and mate selection work in dating dynamics, backed by evolutionary psychology and real-world patterns. High SMV comes from youth, beauty, fertility cues for women, and resources/status for men, but it depreciates differently. Women's peaks earlier due to biology, men's later with achievement. Body count enters because men, evolutionarily wired for paternity certainty, often prefer lower counts for long-term partners to minimize risks of infidelity or diluted pair bonding. It's not obsession with sex, it's risk assessment in an era where divorce can cost men half their assets and custody battles favor women. Her Marx analogy is particularly off base. Marx talked about commodities in capitalist production, goods produced for exchange, alienated from their makers. Applying that to women as whores or passed around dollar bills is a straw man. Men aren't treating women as commodities to be exchanged endlessly. Many are opting out precisely because modern dating feels transactional and low reward. The contradiction, she points out, wanting a woman off the market, isn't hypocrisy. It's the point of commitment. In markets, high-value assets are acquired and held, not endlessly traded. A man seeking a low body count partner wants exclusivity because he values emotional depth, trust, and lower drama risk, not because he's buying a depreciating commodity. High body counts signal higher odds of future issues. For example, studies link more premarital partners to marital dissatisfaction and divorce risk, so men rationally prefer newer or less circulated partners for long-term investment. Oh, she's complaining about men in comments calling her a slut or low-rated. But if she's framing herself as a commodity in endless circulation, why act surprised when men decline to buy? This mindset, using market logic to justify promiscuity while demanding monogamy later, highlights why many men are disengaging. Why commit to someone who views relationships as economic transactions but resents the vetting? True equality would mean accepting that both sides have preferences. Women often want high-earning, tall men, their market logic, and men want low-count, loyal partners. Dismissing men's standards as patriarchal while pushing slut positivity isn't flipping logic, it's entitlement. Men aren't objectifying by having boundaries. They're protecting their investment in a high-stakes game where the costs of a bad choice fall heavily on them.
Body count does not matter at all, and I'm going to give you a very specific reason why you should be a slut. In college, I was in a communications class, and via anonymous clicker, they asked us to guess what the average amount of people a college student hooks up with a year is. Then they asked us to say how many people we had hooked up with that year. People assumed the number that people had hooked up with was around 7 or 8 on average. Actual number of people hooked up with was 2 people. Our communications professor told us this to show perception is very different than reality. So the moral of the story is to be a slut because everyone assumes you're being one anyway. Being a slut is fun, it's flirty, it's trendy, it's cool, and it's slutty. All positive words. And my number was 10, which means I won because mine was the highest. That just proves sluts rule the world. And if you don't believe me, well, I don't know you, so bye, dead to me. Have fun living your uncool, unslutty life. Also, being a slut is a mindset, so even if you don't want to hook up with people, you can still be a slut. I don't know how to end this video, so bye.
This one is promoting being a slut in college, based on a class anecdote where students overestimated average hookups, guessing 7 to 8. Reality 2 per year, concluding that since people assume you're promiscuous anyway, you might as well embrace it. It's fun, flirty, trendy, cool, and her 10 made her win. She's turning a perception versus reality lesson into slut-shaming the non-sluts, calling non-participants uncool and dead to me. Objectively, this is a textbook example of pluralistic ignorance gone wrong. Yes, studies consistently show college students overestimate peers' sexual activity. For example, perceptions of frequent hookups, but reality is most have 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 partners per year, with many sexually inactive. Recent data, like 2024 to 2025 college health assessments, confirm among sexually active students, most report one partner in the past year. Overall, 40 to 50% have no vaginal sex recently, and hookups are less common than assumed. The professor's point was likely to highlight how exaggerated perceptions drive behavior. People hook up more to fit in, thinking everyone else is. But she twists it into encouragement. Be a slut because they think you are anyway. That's not empowerment, it's peer pressure conformity at its worst. If the reality is lower activity, why push higher? Her winning with 10 ignores that high counts can affect long-term prospects. Men often prefer lower for marriage material per dating patterns and studies on pair bonding. Calling it a mindset, even without action, is just rebranding promiscuity as cool to cope with judgment. This attitude contributes to the very toxicity women complain about. If sluts rule the world, why do many end up frustrated in dating apps, ghosted, or single? Because men, seeing the data and realities, vet accordingly. Promoting casual sex as trendy ignores downsides, emotional toll, STD risks, still prevalent, or how it can make forming deep bonds harder. Men aren't wrong for wanting partners who didn't treat sex as a competition or fun phase. Her dismissal of unslutty lives as uncool is just shaming in reverse, ironic for someone claiming body count doesn't matter. In reality, choices have consequences, and men opting for low-drama, value-aligned partners is rational, not judgmental. This mindset pushes the hookup culture bubble further, but when it bursts, don't blame men for walking away.